Good afternoon. I'm streaming now. See if anyone shows up for this stream here. I'm just talking for the poor slobs that show up and watch this video later and they're like, why is there a silent video? So now I'm talking to myself. Have a little conversation with myself. Why would that be? Hey! It's John Oatman. How are you doing, John? You've come to my live stream. You are looking at. Do you remember the Combaticons, John? This is a fancier version of Vortex, one of the arms of the Combaticons. You can look in my channel for my stop motion transformation video. There are no snacks. I'm sorry if someone led you astray. It's bring your own snacks. So weird in these live streams, it's like this long delay between when you say something and when you hear me respond. There's like a minute. Well, I may as well go get started. Just doing some transformation review notes on this fellow. He's a very cool robot. He's got little thumbs, which is nice. The transformation's pretty clever on this guy. I like it. These helicopter blades are worth having a conversation about because I can see a lot of people like just pulling like there. But you can see that's very thin, very delicate. So I found it was much safer to kind of just engage this little, get it in focus. That little tab right there. Just kind of, that way you're not pulling on the really delicate parts. Especially when you first get it and it's really tight. The blades can be shrunken or extended as needed. Usually I have more people watching. I might have waited too long. They were like, oh, there's not going to be a live stream today, and they all wandered off to do their own thing. Turns into a pretty big helicopter blade. Such a clever figure, though, because it really is a real triple changer. A lot of combiner figures, the combine mode is sort of an afterthought, but in this case, they really made it. These are actually supposed to be up, so I was fixing it. Clever figure. We free up a little space here. And then we can pop this. And if you have everything lined up, like I actually had some trouble getting these tabs to go in at one point when I first started working with this. And it turns out if you put everything together properly, it'll tab in perfectly. The problem is when these things end up being too far apart, or maybe too close together. Probably too far apart, though. If something's jammed in there and they get pressed too far apart, then the tabs aren't going to fit anymore. But if it's lined up properly, the tabs will fit easily. The head, in the stop motion video, you see the head turn around, but who are we kidding? Because there's a little ball and socket here, and then the head's also on its own ball and socket, it means you can't really get the leverage to turn this thing around inside its socket. So I have sadly found it much easier to just take the thing out, and I imagine at some point it'll stop staying in properly. Who can say? Then maybe I'll glue it. I don't know. This thing kind of pops loose. This needs to go that way. So we're going to pop it. But there's basically just a little tab there. Fits in the little slot there. Tab slot. But we just kind of extend this up out of the way. Keeping the arms out of the way. But the whole way the tail of this helicopter disappears inside his torso into a space that is later occupied by the fist of the combined mode. They make really good use of that space. But the trick here is you get both of these going out. And the whole problem you run into is this tab. This tab just kind of gets in the way of these things rotating. And so it's easier to lift them both out. And then there's a little bit of a clearance issue there. You just have to kind of pull them apart gently. And what I do is I put this one back out of the way. And now this one can now clear. Part of the problem is this gets caught. I wish it would focus. Hello. Maybe I should just do a static focus. I don't know. But you just have to make sure that clears that. And then you can rotate this out sideways. And then this one has less baggage. And it's easier to pull it out and rotate it. It doesn't get caught on the thing like the helicopter tail boom does, or the tail blade fan. I don't know what it's called. And then you lift these out. Another bit of cleverness is that, you know, if you want to nest these things, then turning these around the other way so that they have the same resulting shape as the socket they're going to go down into is a great way to do it. And the way they do it is they just have these ornaments on the side rotate. Pretty clever. Everything about this thing is a really good idea. Here's the Ocular Max logo. 2019, made in China. Let me just kind of stow these out of the way for now. And then, I should have done it already. I screwed up. When you first pull them out, that's when I really have screwed it up. Because if you don't... Let's just go back the way we came. So annoying. There is some tight sequencing with this, but there's not a lot of parts parking or anything like that. Mostly, I guess the main parking is getting this thing out of the way in that case. But you got to get it back out of the way, or otherwise you can't do it once all this stuff is extended. His head just fell off, and we'll deal with that in a minute. I'm worried that because I have to kind of take the head out of the socket to get it to rotate, we're going to end up in a situation where the head socket just becomes too loose to stay in ever. But it's already considerably looser than it used to be. I don't know if super glue coating would fix that or not. But these things go down. I'm off camera, just like a reviewer. Hey, we got more people. Nelson Film Studios, sup with you, Predicon Waspinator, hi. How much have I missed? How long have you been going? I've just been going from robot to helicopter at this point, so. Brickmaster Medrano says hi there, nice to meet you guys. Brickmaster, the new sub. Yeah, you've told me many times, Brickmaster. I appreciate your enthusiasm. What is cracking? Yeah, what's cracking jazz? Bonjour. Something's unfortunate. I don't know what's unfortunate. Anyway. Yeah, the head really gets loose. I'm really worried about this socket. The head really doesn't like to stay in anymore. But I think it would be fixed if I super glued the head. Not permanently, but you put super glue in the socket and you work it around, but it kind of makes the socket tighter. All right. So now this is pulled forward because it ultimately goes back like that, you know. But that way the hands, which we'll transform real quick here. Boom, boom. Same thing over here. All right, now these are ready to go. So these actually lift up very nicely when you got a tab there and a socket on the other side. So they're gonna interact. And now this thing can kind of go back. And we'll just lift this out of the way for now. And we've finished the back of the helicopter. Someone had already answered correctly. I can't remember who it was, and I'm sorry, but I gave you credit in the comments. I guess I could look it up. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna do my due diligence. Should have wrote it down ahead of time, but let's see. The very perceptive person that figured out what the proto mode for this was. Where is it? It was Andre of Doom. Andre of Doom is the only person who attempted to answer my question, what is the proto mode? And for those of you who don't know, when you do a triple changer, you can save a lot of shooting. If you work out what is the halfway point for all modes. And it doesn't work with a quadruple changer for various reasons that I went into on the that 6-shot video. But when it's a triple changer, you have 3 modes, and just about everything will have, like for example, in the robot mode, the legs are extended. And in the arm mode, the legs are extended. In the helicopter mode, the legs are put away. So that tells you that the in-between mode is going to have the legs extended one way or the other. Same thing with the helicopter boom. This is helicopter mode, and this is also arm mode. And so this is the right position for this. That's kind of the rule. I had a little trouble with this thing when I first got it because I didn't realize the leg skirts have to be just so to make clearance later on for everything to pack away properly in helicopter mode in particular. And the trick is, you can see here, this hip skirt is on top of this, but there is also a hole inside. And so the trick is, let's just get the legs out of the way for a second. Moving those out of the way. But the trick is, when you get the legs pressed together, you put the side skirts in first. You see how they notch in there. And then these tabs actually go over those pins. So again, if the skirt is this way, you're not going to pack it into helicopter mode successfully. It has to be this way. Otherwise, it'll not quite clear, and it'll be weird, and you'll feel like you have to push it too hard to get it to lock. And And then these were open because although they're not open in all modes, they have to be opened in order to achieve any of the modes. And so, if I'm not mistaken, oh, the wheel has to be out too. This is the proto mode. This is exactly in between. So when I shot it, I went from helicopter to robot, passing through this mode, and then I transformed it back to this mode and lined it up with the same picture from earlier in the shoot, and then I proceeded to transform it into an arm. And that way I can take those clips basically between each of the 3 modes and the sort of hidden 4th proto mode, and I can stitch them all together so that I can do like all the possible transformations without having to shoot all the possible transformations, which would be super tedious. Anyway, we unlock the cockpit here. It's kind of clever because this thing has a faux cockpit. So the front end of the helicopter isn't marred by the transformation linkages. They just leave that part of the cockpit with it. And I should raise these before I get going. Otherwise it's hard to grab them later. Just grab the windshields. And then this lifts out. I'm sorry, and the proto mode was this, with the hand out. The hand out. So even I don't know what the proto mode is. And we're going to close this down here. On this side, this tab actually slides into the slot. On this side, the tab isn't lined up quite the same way, so it doesn't really slide into that slot. And then we unbend this, and we just have to work it in. The trickiest part is getting these tabs to go into these holes, and if they're not lined up, then it'll give you a fit. There's actually a little bit of a stress mark there, so watch out for that. But you tab it in, you kind of squeeze it. We can close the canopy once we line it up. Close the bottom. Really clever mechanism. I'll get the wheels out of the way so I can show it off a little easier. But basically, this is what won't line up if the hip skirts are out, because you can see the hip skirts are like right there. So if they're out, you can't squeeze these together enough. But it's interesting because these come together, but you see these have tabs hanging down. So when they come together, this tab engages with the hole on the opposite side, and this tab likewise engages with the hole on the opposite side. So it's a really clever way to get them to lock together. We had a bit of a discussion in the comments about this. I knew from some pictures, if you look up like the G1 Vortex, it'll tell you the exact model of helicopter it is, but it's like, what is this? Why does it have a square hole? This is like some sort of radar dome that's on the real helicopter, so they're just replicating that. And the reason it has a square hole is it makes room for the linkages later when you fold it kind of inside out. This comes down. Place that there. These come down. They just have to be straight. Like you can have a situation where it's like this. This is an exaggerated version of that, and it won't line up if you do it like that. It has to be down. And then this lines up, and then you can kind of pull on it to get it to click into place. Same with the other side. I very nearly lost these. If you get one of these, take the time to super glue these in place. Just don't use a lot of super glue, because that's right where the if this wasn't glued and I took it out, you could look through the hole and see the part of the sort of knee hinge. So don't get carried away with the super glue, but you just glue them in place so they don't get lost. And I had a window fall out too. I had to glue this window in place, so some of those parts can show up kind of loose. And then the tail boom, it's a little tricky, but it's hard to get a hold of this. Oh my god. Okay, so flip that out, flip this out, and lift it up. And then these can go together. And then the prop. The prop actually, it's like kind of this way when it's packed up, and this way when it's not packed up. And you just kind of clear this. You can lower your 2 tabs. And then this slides along the same shaft, so you can pop it loose I tried to convey that in the video, but it's really hard because I can't film multiple steps. It's either popped loose or it's not. But we can rotate this up into position. And it can be really hard to kind of work it back in this position. The easier method is just to shove this all the way through, pushing on this tab on top of the rotor to keep it still. But you kind of push it all the way through and then push it back. And now it's lined up properly. And then we get the helicopter. I guess we'll get into ARM mode shortly. Do a comment review. Where are we? Yeah, Brickmaster Medrano points out that he loves the Optimus Prime vid. It's an amazing Prime, but the price is hell. Yes, it's very expensive. So, not for some budgets, but there's going to be a less expensive KO inevitably. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it helps to be rich. I don't know. Yeah, you don't have to spend $400 on the Optimus Prime. I mean, if it's not in your budget, then, just wait for the KO. Wait for someone to sell it cheaper. Yeah, we're not talking about the same figure, John. He was talking about the Optimus Prime. This one's like $100, but yeah, they could have designed the neck a little bit better. Mike Case says he loves my videos. That's nice. I appreciate that. I know I ask this a lot, but next Transform, I have the very generous Factor 1 sent me a number of robots. You can see in the video it gives him credit right on the opening screen. It's kind of when I started doing the opening screen credits for whoever loaned me or gave me a bargain on things. But he sent me a bunch of videos, and I've got to do one more of his before I can send all his stuff back to him. And that one is the Make Toys Galaxy Meteor, which is the Cybertron Starscream, the one that turns into kind of a Tetrajet. That would be the last one from that round that I'm doing. And then I'm waiting on a Transform Element Prime. I got the Nemesis Prime version of Transform Elements Prime just because it's cool. So I'll be doing a Transform Element video when I get that. It's stuck in China right now, so it'll eventually show up. And then I've got some of those Studio Series Constructicons to get out of the way. Plus, MP45 Bumblebee should be out fairly soon, so there's another one on the list. So this week is very likely, almost certainly going to be Galaxy Meteor, which is a kind of a strange figure. It's got some clearance issues. Oh, I forgot to put these down. Now it's done. Then I'll meander my way into ARM mode here. You have to be careful with these little details. One thing you can do is just kind of get under there and pop it loose with some sort of spudger. So we'll pack the tail back up. Doom ba doom boom boom. Yeah, 400 is a lot for that Prime, and that being said, I did not actually pay that for it. If you pre-order on Amazon Japan, if you have a credit card that'll handle an international charge like that, they give you a good deal. They give you like 40% off the retail price immediately. And if the price drops any lower during the period that it's on pre-order, then they kind of guarantee you the pre-order price. I'm getting this thing out of order. Forgot to get these out of the way first. There we go. Open the cockpit. Extend. Close the cockpit. There's not as much going from proto to helicopter mode because you don't have to spread the legs out. You don't have to do this boom, which is one of the more complicated things you have to do for robot mode. But what we do is split this a little bit. You can kind of cheat it. Rotate it around and rejoin it. And then lower this down. And then these lock onto there. These lock on cleverly, just like they do in helicopter mode. And then we can extend the fingers. I just love that all the parts are built into this. Even the torso guy, Onslaught, or their version of Onslaught, all the panels and the head and everything is built into it. There are no extra pieces. So when you have the combined mode, when you take it apart and transform it into robots, you don't have a pile of pieces, just to be clear. MMC is going where everything is built in to the figures, and so far they've done a stunning job of building in the limb parts. Very clever. There's a good note to be had here. So this is apparently the thing that'll lock it onto Onslaught. It'll lock into some. Then that part will actually have the socket and the articulation. But when you extend that, when you look inside here, this thing kind of locks that so that when you manipulate the arm, it doesn't drift. It doesn't lose its right angledness to the bottom part. So that's what that tab is for. In robot mode and in vehicle mode, this tab is just down here like this. But in arm mode, you push it up into there. And then you can put the wheel away. You can take this bit and lock it back up just like in helicopter mode. And we can lower it down and put it on those tabs. And then we articulate the arm. It's got real nice ratcheted elbow joint. And it's a real nice arm. It's gonna be a really cool version of Bruticus. There's the arm. We'll stare at the arm for a minute while I look at the notes. Brickmaster Madrano says, I understand why the MP44 is hell of expensive because the toy is savage awesome, but for the trailer and other small extra pieces, no way. I figure the trailer probably contributed like $100, $150 to the price point. So I could see the knockoffs, the KOs, doing just Prime without the trailer and it being a lot less expensive, just like Megatron. You can get a MP36 level sort of Megatron these days for like $90 new. Shozi store has one that's like $90. Predacon Waspinator nags me about the MP10 reshoot. I will do an MP10 reshoot when I run out of things to do. It'll be the first thing I do when I'm not dealing with things that are newer. So it's going to be Galaxy Meteor, MP45 Bumblebee, TE when it arrives, the Voyager Constructicon long haul, and the 2 deluxe Constructicons. I don't usually do Studio Series Deluxes, but they form the arm of Devastator, so I'm going to go ahead and do them together on the same video. But I will get to MP10 reshoot at some point, because it deserves a good reshoot. Brickmaster Bedrano says, I love the 2.0 Bumblebee. Looks small and awesome, and they managed to cramp all those robot parts in that small car. Yeah, they cheat a little bit because that MP45 Bumblebee, they took a lot of the door and window bits and just kind of had them hanging off the heels. So when you're looking straight at it, it looks like, you know, the cartoon Bumblebee. So they did a good job of capturing the cartoon, and also like that it doesn't turn into like a VW bug like the original MP whatever Bumblebee, but it turns into a like a super deformed bug, just like the penny racers that the original mini bots were based off of. I'm not sure what Predacon Waspinator means when he says, yeah, but they failed at putting all the car parts in a robot. I don't know. He'll expand on that when he hears me say that a minute from now. I guess I'll go back to robot mode while I'm fiddling here. This is, after all, the point. Like I said, you can just kind of cheat this open to get the thumb in. I always forget which way this is supposed to go. It's supposed to go this way. This goes out. We split it, rotate it, put it back together. Well, I don't have to put it back together because it's going to go to robot mode now. And we put this way inside here for robot mode. It's also clever how they manage the hand. It's like it doesn't exist. So clever. These are going to fold over the sides in a minute, so we'll leave it alone. And this needs to be back up. The wheel needs to be away so that I can put this back down, put this away, tilt this forward to clearance. And I can go ahead and put this away because we're just going to robot mode now. Go ahead and get the legs taken care of. Spread these out. So the square hole in this radar dome, we'll get a good view of why that happens. But they wanted to just kind of get rid of it. Instead of having it be like this and have like the inside of the leg be a big void. And you could do it this way if you wanted to. But the windshield kind of goes out of the way to the back of the leg. But when this flips around, you can see why that square hole is needed. Because of the way it flips around. And someone else in the comments, after some discussion, pointed out that's why there's a square hole. Because we were like, is that like some homage to the original combiner port? But of course, the original Scramble City combiners didn't have ports like that. The head of the combiner would like bend down and become like a go into a socket on the torso. So that was not at all a thing. But I like how the legs end up wider apart in robot mode, and then directly there's so many combiners where the legs are used for the arm, but there's a gap between them, and there's no gap between this the way they worked it out. Get this disengaged. And remember, this gets out of the way there. And then it makes it super easy to flip these out. Then I just go ahead and take care of the arms while I'm at it. And it's better if the arms are hanging down like this, because this kind of gets in the way of the boom when you're working on that. And then we'll lift this up. And really the head kind of has to go down to create a little extra clearance for the boom arms to rotate inward like this. We'll get these out of the way, flip these over. Granted, that's a little bit parking, but I just couldn't have these things sticking out. Like the real protoform would be these still halfway sticking out, and I didn't want to have them sticking out, so I compromised and parked a little bit. I know, I parked. terrible. And now we can throw this out of the way. And then this. There's the head again. I really have to figure out how to fix that. But we get this out of the way, down into the torso. Now we have the clearance we need. The clearance to get that past there. And then we can lift this back up and walk it. So now both of these are nice and tight together. Because this one has a little extra space in it, and this one sticks out a little bit. And so it's very, very clever design. I'd say the only flaw is the head, as you can imagine. This collapses a little bit and tabs. And then this easily tabs here. If it doesn't easily tab, then you didn't line the pieces up right. And then forgot to put the little feet down. And I'm doing it off camera. What am I, a reviewer? Put the feet down. If I was snarky, I'd do like response videos to some of these reviewers because they obviously don't really know how to transform the figures. Should spend more time on it. Catch up on comments. Well, Predacon, they're trying to get that cartoon mode. We're talking about MP45 Bumblebee, and Predacon was pointing out that the chest is a faux chest, which is frankly what they did with 39 Sunstreaker, and it didn't bother me. They're trying to get the cartoon proportions, and you just can't get the cartoon proportions out of the toy. So they've got to cheat. It's the only way to get it to look just like the cartoon, and that's their goal. They're trying to make them look just like the cartoon animation cell. And he's going to expand on why he said car parts in a robot. I was talking about 45. That makes more sense now. Yeah, there's all those parts hanging off his heels. That's the biggest sin. I don't mind a backpack because most of the time you're looking at the figure from the front, and frankly, Takara does a pretty good job of, they put an extra car bulk into a backpack like Sunstreaker and MP44 Prime, and Megatron for that matter has kind of a backpack in the sense that they stowed parts on the back. He's a bad example though because it really does look crappy on the back. But at least it's a fairly elegant backpack. And even MP45's backpack is fairly clean. But the crap hanging off his heels is a little crazy. Masterpiece Beast Wars. Yeah, I'll do more Masterpiece Beast Wars. The next Takara figure I'll be doing after MP45 is Black Arachnia. I'll be doing. So there's your next Beast Wars, and then I've got I lose track of the numbers, but I have 47. Let's see, 45, 46, 47, 48 is Leo Convoy, and so I'll be doing that next year, early next year. I'll show off my new Zarya figure while I'm here. Check it out. I don't know if anyone plays Overwatch, but I play Overwatch all the time. And I don't usually collect like Marvel Legends type figures, but I'm kind of committed to getting the Overwatch figures because I like Overwatch. I can't wait till there's a Diva figure. It's going to be sweet. An MP Waspinator would be very, very cool. Yeah. They'll have to get through some of those MP figures. I feel like they kind of skipped ahead by doing Leo Prime. Now, granted, like the Thrilling 30s Rhinox that they did is, I mean, it's almost a masterpiece figure for a cheap retail figure. It's pretty clever, that the Rhinox that they did. But I'd love to have like an MP, like an actual MP Rhinox. What were some of the other characters? Rat Trap, I mean, again, the Thrilling 30 Rat Trap was pretty cool little clever little figure. But I mean, why wouldn't they do an MP Rat Trap and an MP Rhinox before they got around to doing Leo Convoy? But they like doing their convoys. I guess they figure that makes them the money. I got to put him back on the shelf, so I'm going to get him ready. Get him ready to sit on the shelf. Got to put his helicopter blades away. Yeah, my kid's into Borderlands 3 right now, but I'm kind of old, so when I play Overwatch, it's because it's what's installed on my computer, and I just want to like kind of zone out and shoot things. And Overwatch, I understand all the rules. I have all the controls tailored the way I want. Sometimes I just get frustrated if I play a new game. I got to like figure out the techniques and figure out the controls. And Overwatch is a good option for me for if I just want to shoot things and I don't want to have to think about it too much. A beefier Cheetor? I thought Cheetor was pretty spot on. I wish there was more happening in the video. I'm going to turn him around. Bo, 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 bo. It's a really good figure. I'm really looking forward to getting all these guys. It's going to be super awesome. I mean, I feel like everyone's doing Bruticus, and it's kind of tired. Like, there's not nearly enough people doing aerial bots, and even MMC has announced that their next thing is going to be Defensor and not Superion. But I hope they get around to doing Superion. I'd love to have, like an all built. What a great concept. I hope they do really well with it. I hope they spend the next 5 years making figures in that line. Yeah, an MP Waspinator would be cool. I mean, any of the original like cast would be a good choice if they're going to do Beast Wars. Why wouldn't they do Waspinator and Rhinox and alternate back and forth between the villains and the good guys? Hey, it's Rufus Arconin. Cheetor rocks already, but they couldn't just repaint Cheetor and make Tigatron. It wouldn't look right. Damn straight, Tigatron's a different character entirely. It's funny because the CGI cartoon for Beast Wars was trying to imitate the toy look with its weird limitations. And then they turn around and make the toys look like the cartoon that was trying to look like the toys. And that's just, Takara's just being slavish to making the new MP figures look exactly like the cartoons. So you get the Cheetor looks exactly like the cartoon, at least from the front. That kind of thing. I get the feeling that Brickmaster is very heavy into Waspinator. It's a very good Waspinator impression, I think. Maybe Rufus could tell you, because he actually watched Beast Wars. I didn't really watch it. I'm sorry. I like transforming toys more than I like the cartoons about them. I forgot about this. My forceps. It would be a good way to hold a figure. Minimize on what I have to get rid of later. All right. I've run out of things to talk about in my live stream. Throw me some questions. I'll hang out for a few minutes and get them answered. Yeah. Rufus says, MP Silverbolt or especially Takara would be great at doing Pterosaur if they employed a little of the old inside-out magic. Love the Takara inside-out magic. It's good stuff. But frankly, at this point, I am more excited about seeing MMC continue to do combiners. As far as I'm concerned, MMC can be like the official Takara equivalent of combiners, because they're nailing it. It's perfect. except for the head. But otherwise, it's perfect. Bring out the holy grail of my collection? My goodness. I mean, I'd have to leave the computer because most of my stuff is downstairs. God, what's the holy grail of my collection? All right, well, I got something for you. Give me 2 minutes, or a minute and a half, and I will bring you my favorite thing in the universe. All right. all right. We're fine. It was a lot faster than I thought it would be. But who's ready to see my favorite thing ever? It'll be maybe surprising to some people. But that's my favorite thing. G Creation GDW01 Ultra Maximus based on the IDW Optimus Prime. Such an awesome figure. It has sort of that excessive engineering like MP44, but super clever. It's amazing they turned that big boxy truck into this wasp-waisted, frankly rather sexy robot. Plus, unlike the GT version of that, they hide the wheels. The wheels are not visible. I think the Generation Toy one is garbage compared to this, but some people are like, it's really good. It's a crying shame, though, because they were planning, you could tell in some old promotional materials, that they were planning to do the IDW Megatron, the one that was like a stealth bomber, the one that Generation Toy did do. And I guess these didn't sell well, or Generation Toy's on its, back on its heels. I don't know what's going on, but I noticed recently that they were doing that re-release of Shuriking, the purple one or whatever. I wish them well. I hope they get back on their feet and do that. I hope the same team does a IDW Megatron to go along with this guy. It would be great to have. The colors look light because the light is washing it out. Ooh, Predacon Wasp asked for my least favorite thing. Really, at this point, you could pick any of the old Star Wars crossover Transformers or Marvel Comics crossover Transformers. They were all pretty terrible. See you later, Rufus. The posability, the articulation, those were garbage efforts for the most part. I'm not even going to dig them out. I hate them so much I don't want to look at them. But I have all of them because I'm crazy. I always thought this guy was pretty kind of rare. You had to go out of your way to get this because it was one of those lines where it got canceled. I've talked about him before. Mostly because he's just sitting here anyway. Yeah. I love this thing. It's gorgeous. And it actually has really good articulation. I mean, I hate to take the guns out of his hands. But I mean, you can pull the skirt out of the way and get the leg pretty far up. It's all ratcheted. I mean, it's super nice. I would highly recommend. He's not overly die-cast like Fans Toys does. He's got die-cast in his feet and some structural components, but they didn't lose their freaking minds die-casting him. Just gorgeous. The best figure. And what's funny is this one, Chosen Prime had sent me one that was missing a bunch of parts. It was like missing his arm and missing other parts. And then he sent me another one that was kind of missing a different set of parts. And so I combined the two into one robot. Because he had sent me ones. I guess they had a lot of defects, or people had problems breaking theirs, which I don't think is really a defect.
I don't see as designed, if you do this thing properly, how you can break it. But it can be delicate if you don't pay attention. You don't know what you're doing. Predacon's favorite is Hunt for the Decepticon Starscream. Rid 2001 Sideburn. Sideburn's cool. You're talking about the blue. What's it? What is that car? Dodge Viper. It was like a blue Dodge Viper. I thought it was cool because it was asymmetrical. Like one arm kind of came from one place and the other arm kind of came from another place. I liked Sideburn, but it does have a few clearance issues, so I can see being frustrated with it. Hunt for the Decepticon Starscream. I'm trying to remember which one that is. Starscream. Give me a hint. The Hunt for Decepticon Starscream you're talking about, is that a Voyager, a Deluxe, or what? I'm going to Google it. Was it the Leader? The Leader class Starscream? I actually did a video of him. Brickmaster Madrano says MP Cliff Jumper and Windcharger. I do have an MP style Cliff Jumper that was made by the inimitable MMC, Ocular Max. I have a video of him up. That was a couple of months ago. 3 months ago, I don't know. Danny Lee says, what up? Just want to drop in and say hi and thank you for the MP44 transformation vid. Helped me big time yesterday. It's exactly what I'm doing those for. So I really appreciate that I was able to help you with a complicated figure. It can be scary when it's so expensive. You're like trying to figure it out. And the instructions are always so terrible. Yes, one of my earliest videos was the Starscream. I mean, it doesn't go both directions like the newer videos, but it does transform. Back in the day, back before I settled on my style. All right, I'm going to go with a 5-minute warning, final questions, and then I'm going to head out. It's been nice hanging out with you folks, talking about stuff. I wish it was more like a chat room. Maybe I should figure out how to do this in Discord. I have a Discord, but I don't know how to do it, so maybe later. The Howling Meteor Starscream. Are you talking about like Make Toys Starscream? It's a good figure. Streams you can expect to occur on Wednesdays around 7ish. So that's when the next stream would be. I guess we'll be discussing Galaxy Meteor before I have to send them back. Okay. There's some enthusiasm for Discord. I mean, I set up a Discord, but I don't know how to do it properly. I have a Discord server set. Don't switch. Do I wish an MP Air Razor in Silver Bolt? I assume you mean the birds. Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. I guess that's a little further into the Beast Wars mythology. I get the impression that they're focused almost entirely on doing all the things that were actually in the cartoon as opposed to the extended line of figures. What's my favorite Masterpiece scale combiner? I'm going to just go out on a limb and say it's that guy. That guy is going to be my favorite Masterpiece scale combiner. What a perfect design. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know how to send the link without sending it to the entire universe, and I don't want to have the entire universe on my Discord. But certainly the people that show up for this. Um, yeah. I have to figure the right protocol for that because it would be kind of fun to have like a chat in Discord. I thought about doing like that sort of standard Patreon, you know, people or subscribe star because Patreon sucks. Um, but having people that contribute have priority. I even had like a bunch of different channels. Like I came up with like basic class, deluxe class, Voyager class, leader class, and masterpiece class. That was the concept, because I'm toy oriented. So I thought it would be fun to have a Discord where there's different levels, and like if you're in the higher levels, then you get a little more of a voice than the lower levels. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. Oh, okay, cool. Actually, I can create a link that'll. Let's see how this works. Because I don't use it for anything else, so I don't think it'll hurt anything. There you be. But that link's only good for an hour. Good luck. Well, my Discord server is PLS Drew, as you can imagine. That was fast. See, now that's the problem with Discord. I don't. So, who is Beep Breed Bulk? What's your who are you in this chat? That's what I don't know. I don't know who's who. You know what? You guys actually showed up for my shit, so I'm going to put you automatically in Voyager class for showing up to the chat. Yeah, he's an all of it. Class. I feel like I missed somebody. Here I guess, Voyager class. I guess I can put on my headset. Alright, so if you're in Voyager class, you should have access to the Voyager class channel. Yeah. So I'm in the Voyager class channel now. Voice channel. This will be fun. It's a little more of a direct interaction. My good friend and cousin Rob is in the Discord, but we haven't had a chance to kind of coordinate things properly. Remember the eggs? Are you asking me if I remember the eggs, John? Are you talking about the with the Masters of the Universe toys that turned into like eggs? That's my guess. I don't know. It's going to be like a few minutes before you respond. Which one are you, Predacon? Are you Beat Bride Bulk? I assume. Hey.
Hi.
So who are you?
I'm Predacon One.
You're Predacon. All right.
Yep.
I feel like I'm just going to have to rename you so I can keep track of who you are. There's a way to rename it. Change nickname. I'm going to blow out your nickname. Boop. So now I know who you are. Wonder who Moody Me Now is. How about Rangefinder? Are you on there?
That would be me.
And who are...
My dog, bro.
Is Rangefinder in the YouTube chat?
Yeah, I am.
Is that... Do you have the same name in the YouTube chat?
I just renamed myself to match the YouTube chat.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not sure how quick you'll be able to see that, but
Oh, is it Moody Me Now? I get it.
yeah, that's
Yeah, it shows up in the sidebar, but it doesn't show up in the chat right now. I'm gonna stop the live stream, but I'll hang out and talk to you guys for a couple of minutes. Good night, everyone on the live stream.